Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful. When the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. It is the 23rd. It's Friday. We've got some market PMI numbers today, so it should be an interesting Friday. Also, I think we're going to do the Discord stage thing. But first, Ninja Trader crashed on me. I have to restart it. Good grief. And I see you guys are having a conversation here before I got here, which I kind of feel left out, but then that's good, right? A conference call is the best way to get a dozen people to say bye 300 times to air is what. Good morning, Keller. Nah, the robots are not ready. They are not ready. They're not on. Okay, we come back over to here first. We get this all up. You're gonna have to wait. So Ninja Trader, it like crashed while it was opening all the windows. This is the second day. Well, not in a row. It didn't do it yesterday, but it did it like the day before, right? So, oh yeah, we get Canadian retail sales. Okay. Well, so we don't have a 6:30 number, so we will turn them on here. Good morning, Tommy. How are you? Okay. So, for the charts. Yesterday, okay day. It hasn't loaded everything yet, has it? Oh, no, we're good. We're good, 6:30. Okay, yeah. So, yesterday, there was a little bit of struggle, but ultimately they pulled it out, and we're higher once again. And we're not quite to all-time highs, are we? Not quite. But obviously we're going to do it. So somewhere beyond the 84, I'm sure that it'll take off and there will be like tons of excitement and they'll push up further and all of that stuff. Clear your cache in the morning. And that might be it. I'm not sure. Treasuries yesterday actually saw a little bit of a rise. I'm not sure if there was any strong reason for that, or if I should read anything too big into it, but it did happen. The yields dropped again yesterday, but overnight that has retraced quite a bit. And one thing that we should note is that the Japanese yen, according to News Squawk, was looking weak. It is looking weak. So we may see the treasuries drop more with the currency flow. So I'm going, oh my God. You know what? I'm not even showing the right screen, am I? Probably somebody in chat's like, no, you're looking at the wrong one. Okay, let's go back. Let's start over. We're starting over. Okay. E-mini. Okay, was good. All right. Treasury. They moved up a little bit yesterday, but they're coming back. All right. Very, very good. There is maybe like a little bit of support here in this area, and then we get down into like the 133.24 half. If the PMIs came out and were like really good, then they might get pushed down there, but I'm a little skeptical that those will be good. Okay, oil still meandering, recovering from that huge dip on the 18th, right, last week. Gold and silver continue to rotate around 1800, although there is a little bit of a downside trend to some degree going down here, so we'll see where that one goes. Silver's just not going well for anybody, is it, right? Copper's looking good today, though. Look at that. Oh, it is. In fact, over the last 30 minutes, we've had a really good rise in copper. So, The dollar. Well, I think that the dollar might be under a little bit of weakness today, but if the yen is going to be pressured. So the thing you got to remember is that there is like a lot of currency rebalancing on Fridays. So that can kind of make for some confusing action for me sometimes, right? Okay, so I am going to connect to the combine. And I'm going to turn the robot on. Okay. What does it NT? Yeah, it means Ninja Trader. but I'm going to repeat again today. Like we should do the stage thing. I'm going to come in here, live stream, start the stage. We make this public. Continue. Start stage. Okay, so like we gotta get Win. Do you have a microphone, Win? We gotta get you into Discord. That's what we gotta do. I wanna get you into Discord, get you on the stage. It'll be great. It'll be fun. Anyways, oh, we gotta start the text to speech. That's what I forgot to do. Let's see here. We could not keep VWAP Eurobond inside day back to find buyer. Will yesterday's most traded price be taken? Stop just above VWAP. Okay. So keep that open. I'm not sure my extension cord reaches that far. I don't have a microphone and I have a Band-Aid over my... Oh, because you're using a laptop, huh? I picture her like sitting at a desk somewhere, but she's probably like sitting at the couch with a laptop, huh? Let's check Twitter, see if there's anything we miss here on Twitter. Okay. Well, I feel like I'm missing something. Am I missing something here, guys? I click the do that and get that going. Oh, you're on a Chrome. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that one worked very well. It's unfortunate that machines are just so expensive right now. Oh, Brannigan Bird is really interested in Bitcoin again today, but he's all talking technical analysis junk. Support and resistance. The extension cord joke is much funnier to my generation. You fellows probably don't even need extension cords. No, I actually use the extension cords quite a bit these days. It's annoying. I want to plug anything in on my garage, and I got to get an extension cord. I should have had them throw more power outlets in the garage. Oh, that's interesting. Just in, U.S. carries out strikes against Taliban in support of the Afghan forces. Oh, so we're not just gonna let the Taliban take over the country after all? That is Okay, wait, we gotta read this. Let me blow my nose. Too early for a title. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being weird. I was thinking about it yesterday, and I was thinking, Seth, you're thinking too much. You're in your head too much. Okay. The U.S. military carried out 2 strikes against the Taliban Thursday night, which targeted captured equipment, multiple defense officials said. The 2 strikes were in support of the Afghan forces in the Kandahar province in the final phases before the U.S. withdraws from Afghanistan. The U.S. military has maintained the ability to carry out missile strikes, supporting the Afghan National Defense and Security Forces. However, the strikes have come far and few between in recent weeks. I can say that in the last several days we have acted, though, through airstrikes to support the ANDSF, but I won't get into technical details of those strikes. 3 of the last 4 strikes targeted stolen equipment, including equipment transferred from the U.S. to the ANDSF that was later captured. Oh, okay, so they just don't want them to have U.S. military equipment. That I suppose would maybe make a little bit more sense to me. When Trump wanted out, it was a bad thing. Now it's a good thing. I don't know, man. I think I vaguely recall being on the stream and saying, well, maybe it is time to get out. Here's the thing. When we get out, I mean, it's going to happen, right? There are people that are going to be oppressed and probably people that are going to be killed as a result of us leaving. But if we stay, that country will continue to be a mess. So what do? I don't know, man. You can't win, right? You just can't win. Well, I got some oatmeal here. I'm going to take a few bites before it gets cold. Oh, I was talking media, not you. Well, it does seem like the media is in support of it. But, like, there's only one way to report it, right? Like, bad stuff's going to happen. You could say that it was the right decision to move out, but still admit that bad things are going to happen. But what would I do if I was... I'm sure that if I was president, I would probably stay. But I'm not going to say that would be like an effective wise. That would kind of be more my tendency to not want to mess with something if it's not broken, you know? RJ says the Taliban's going to take over in the last 20 years and the lives lost for nothing. Humbling. But, I mean, is it really doable? Like, we've been there for, 20 years now, right? Over 20 years. How long does it take for you to rebuild a country? I think there's kind of a point at which you have to admit that you can't fix the problem, you know? Maybe the only way for this to happen is to let the Taliban take over, and hopefully they will, the Afghan society, having been under the United States, will move them over or something. I don't know. How much data per millisecond can NinjaTrader analyze? I mean, that would depend very much on your computer specs, right? It would sure be interesting to do benchmarking tests on that if we had a really nice computer and multiple pieces of software and some way to spoof the data feed. But I don't think anybody's ever done that kind of testing. Tommy says, make NinjaTrader a top priority to purchase 64 megabytes of RAM. I'm kind of have been in a couple of situations where I was like, well, what if I had 64 megabytes of RAM? What would happen? But I think that NinjaTrader would just continue to use more and more memory. I don't think that there's any limit to the amount of memory that NinjaTrader will let you use. The way that the strategy analyzer uses memory, there's still some sort of memory leak in there, man. Because if you try and do like an optimization run and it's like a really, really big optimization run, it does not work. What's this? The vaccine given to nearly all Israelis, the Pfizer shot, is now just 39% effective against infection, while being only 41% effective in preventing symptomatic COVID-19. Really? So wait, so the Pfizer shot isn't very effective. The Johnson & Johnson shot has more, how do we say, outlier risks, like these, what is this, heart condition and things like that. So does that mean that I have to get the AstraZeneca? Funnily enough, that actually puts it in line with the average flu. Does it really? Because I found the flu shot to be effective. I don't know. Isn't there something like if you get the flu shot every year, though, that it's even more beneficial? Like, I don't know. Here's the thing that just kills me is all of these guys from the World Health Organization, there's a bunch of people coming through and they're like, well, having a vaccine doesn't end the pandemic. I'm like, okay, so then what was the point? There was a point. I mean, the vaccine is going to save lives. Like, let's be honest. There are some older people out there that would be vulnerable to the disease, and they get the shot, and it's going to save their lives, right? On average, they've only been tracking efficacy for 17 to 18 years. So on the low end, yeah. Bloomberg Crypto tweets, here's the case for stablecoins being the new shadow banking system. Oh boy. They're not going to be happy about that. NASDAQ trader says the AstraZeneca is better, but still genetically modified. But British, the Chinese, well, they're all RNA vaccines, right? Yeah, and then there's the Chinese and Russian ones. But those ones, that one apparently isn't effective at all. So they say that Israel COVID case count. Oh dear. Yes, I see this. Meaning we're going to get another one of these, right? Well, maybe it won't go up as high. Maybe it'll be a little blip like this. We can only hope. There's probably a way to look at the percentage of the population that is vaccinated and their percentage effectiveness, and see how it goes through. Doesn't take a genius to assume 95% efficacy. I don't know. I thought that it was 95% efficacy. Especially since it was touted. Well, that was what the studies that they did suggested. I don't know if I don't know if I was to get vaccinated. I don't know. The thing is I believe so in terms of a vaccine hesitancy. Okay, so I don't consider myself like vaccine hesitant. It's just I already had it. Right. I think that the reason why a lot of people are hesitant is because it's still like an emergency use authorization. When they get like the full authorization, I think that there will be some people that be like, okay, fine. There were studies. Yes, there was. Uzi, come on. You remember all those studies, and then like when there was data that came out that suggested that it wasn't as effective as the first round of the study, and then the market flipped out. Remember all those? And then they came back on, they're like, no, it's okay. It's actually, that's not the case, and yada, And we're all sitting here like, okay, so are they like being honest with us about what the study results are and everything? You remember that whole thing? Oh man. No. You can't get immediate approval because the bureaucratic process that it has to go through is like really long. I'm not quite sure what the numbers are, but I believe they were saying that maybe in August they will be able to formally approve them. Well, okay, so Keller's making one point, which is what we're dealing with now is the Delta variant. Is it the case that it's not that the vaccine was not 95% effective, but that it's only what was it, 56% effective against the Delta variant? That would be much more in line with some of the other numbers that I've been seeing. Yeah, but there's this thing where it's like it renders the vaccine relatively worthless because the virus gets to just keep mutating around the vaccine, perhaps. But like here's the issue, man, is that like this strategy, I would call it COVID zero. Okay, you completely shut everything down so that nobody can transmit the virus, and you keep it shut down until we have a vaccine. You get everybody vaccinated, and we eradicate COVID from the face of the earth. Is a stupid strategy. Full stop. And the countries that have pursued that strategy are, in my opinion, are starting to look really foolish. Like Australia in particular, because really Australia and New Zealand were like the most COVID zero about that, In Australia, it's like they get 3 deaths from it and they shut the whole country down. But at what point do you realize that like you're going to have to keep yourselves shut down for like 10 years to accomplish, and you're still not going to accomplish what you want? Like the idea that we can eradicate a virus as contagious as coronavirus seems ridiculous to me. I would really like to see the models and the numbers and the data science that makes them think that they can accomplish that. Because it seems to me that what really happened was we had a lockdown because we needed it at the beginning to prepare our health systems for it. And we convinced everybody during that time that it was like, we need to do everything we can to stop the virus. And we convinced them that they were going to stop the virus. So we as a humanity are going to stop the virus. And you can't stop the virus, right? So then when we no longer needed them to believe that thing, that they continue to believe it. And so we have these issues. The virus can be, well, any virus. It's not the first virus we've ever had, right? I mean, like let's just game this out, right? What if we didn't do anything? Well, probably a lot of hospitals would be overwhelmed, yes. But you would get a lot of older people would die. And it wouldn't be the first time in history that that's happened. And yeah, a lot of people would die. But you get like, a lot of people are going to die anyways. Problem is that if you fill the hospital and cannot help traffic victims and heart patients. Yeah, but I'm pretty certain that we're past that now. We've had a year, well over a year, really. We've had a year and a half now to prepare our health systems for problems like that. Like if you can't deal with that, then what the hell have you been doing the past 18 months? You know? Yeah. It was never going to end from the beginning. That stuff is just politics. It's a coronavirus. We have yet to eradicate any coronavirus on the planet. We're not going to eradicate COVID. And I know it's effing crazy, but expand healthcare capacity should be more of a focus than imprisoning and oppressing people. Yeah, sure. Well, but Uzi, like, so there's the next question though, right? What ability do we actually have to expand the healthcare system? You know what I mean? Like, I think that there's kind of this, that there's a certain healthcare capacity that you need to be able to deal with that sort of a thing. That's like a lot of money that for something that hopefully you don't need. You know what I mean? And we'll just like sit there after this. It's a weird. I'm sure that there are a lot of issues there on that, but it is interesting that it's not something that I've ever heard on the news. I remember them talking about turning Madison Square Garden into a treatment center and then not needing it, and setting up all of those outdoor places and not needing it. But beyond that, we should have shut down the border, but instead they did restrict travel at the beginning, and that certainly helped, but you're right. It's really weird to go back and think about it, because it was like really early on. Like, this is the thing that weirds me out about the pandemic, right? Is that for us, the traders, I remember talking about this in January. I remember joking about it all through January because we were seeing stuff in China and we're like, well, I'm not so sure that I believe that stuff and that what you're sharing is authentic information and everything. And maybe China's just trying to scare us. Like we talked about it for weeks. And then it was, oh, okay, like it's a problem, but it's not here. It's in Italy. It's not here. And then there was one case in Chicago, and then it was, oh, actually it's been spreading around the Northeast for like a month and a half. You know, it was just like, there was so much. And the average person wasn't paying attention to this at all until Donald Trump shut things down. Right. So like, there's all of these things that could have been done earlier on, and people are like, well, we should have done the X, Y, and Z and everything. And it's like, yeah, but at that time it was a joke, guys. Like, this is why the investigation over things in China, I think is really important, because China, I think, knew that there was a problem, and they shut down travel internally, but they let all the people go elsewhere. It's crazy. Yep, I'm old enough to remember when certain politicians in the worst hit areas in the country were encouraging people to ignore the risk and enjoy the Lunar New Year. Exactly. Oh, that still makes me mad. Because I remember reading that headline here on the stream and being like, well, I don't think that we really need to be super concerned about the coronavirus, but you probably shouldn't be doing that parade. Like, why don't you try adding COVID? No, I think that's okay. I'm trying, I'm trying to avoid getting too political, because I mean, obviously you can't talk about the coronavirus without it becoming political, especially trying to say that, like, we made mistakes, It's like, or that maybe we're still making mistakes. Oh man, you can't come in and say, hey, there might be a better treatment, or there might be this, like, let's investigate this or that. Stuff's not allowed. Apparently, if you're an expert, you're allowed to look at that stuff. But us on YouTube, that no. Okay, but I'm just trying to reminisce here about what has happened. Like, sheesh, the whole thing is just nutso, and it's nutso that, like, it's still going. It's still going. I spent every day since 2008 trying to warn people. Oh, because you've been concerned about a worldwide pandemic since 2008? When you had COVID, did any of the over-the-counter stuff alleviate symptoms? I didn't do nothing. Dude, it was like I had a fever and I had chills. So I just sat under a blanket and watched TV for the weekend, and that was it. We're not serious. You know what, though? I'm starting to wonder about myself, because I've had this cough. I took a Mucinex before I went to sleep, and it's like a 12-hour release. So I think that it will still be going until, like, we end the stream. And then when the stream ends, probably it will start running again. I'll be like, but I've been starting to cough up, like, green things. So it'd be like balls of green. It's, like, really gross. And otherwise I feel great. I'm like, I'm actually, like, really sick. Like, that's pretty sick coming out of me. But it's just a cough. Well, I don't know what it is I have. That's not COVID, because that doesn't fit all of the descriptions. But apparently I have something. Well, what you're trying to say, Keller, is that we need to be able to force vaccinations on people. I don't know what that really comes down to, right? Well, if you were able to force vaccinations on people, then probably you would have less deaths from serious illnesses like that, yeah. It wouldn't be constitutional, but yeah. Stick says absolutely don't force vaccinations on people. Well, I don't think that it would be right either. But I can't deny that if people were, that there would be less. It's kind of funny because it's always been like this fringe issue. Like, okay, yeah, there's these guys, they refuse to take the vaccination. They're crazy. It's like not a big deal. Like the number you're talking about, like a few dozen people in, like one or two people in a community, one or two families in a community, like it's not a big deal. But not a big deal. And then COVID came along. Now people not wanting to get a vaccine, that's a big deal. They've been talking about this adderley for years. Well, the thing is that the number of people that are anti-vaccines is like really very, very low. It's just that the ones that talk about it are super loud. They force people to wear seatbelts. Is that unconstitutional? Seatbelts don't have possible long-term negative impacts on your health. There's a really big difference between wearing a seatbelt and injecting a fluid into you. Like, so here's the thing with the virus. So, like all these people are, the conspiracy theory is that there's a tracker in it. Okay. There's not a tracker in it. Obviously. That's dumb. You'd think that if they had that technology, like there would be, the military would be a lot more efficient, I tell you that much. And incarcerated prisoners, that sort of technology. But let's say, for instance, that the government had that kind of technology, and that it wasn't even like they're trying to hide it. They just said everybody is required to get the chip implanted in you that will track your movements, right? Because it's for everybody's safety, right? That would be unconstitutional. But if you say that a virus, if you say that getting vaccinated, forcing vaccinations is constitutional, then how do you argue that microchipping people is unconstitutional? You get what I mean? So there's always going to be this disconnect between what makes sense from a philosophical framework in terms of how does a society function efficiently and avoid tyranny, and what is going to save the most people's lives, right? There's always going to be a gap there between it, right? And what happens is that throughout human history, people have tended to lean more towards the safety issue. And because of that, tyrants take advantage of that and use it to create tyrannies, right? And that is why the United States finally said, we just don't care about that stuff. We know that people are going to die and like bad things are going to happen, but we care more about our freedoms. And that was the big change that America made. Like, that's truly the thing that was different about America compared to all the previous times. It's not necessary to have a chip because people already have a smartphone. Okay, you know what, Tommy? Stop making good points that completely undermine. You get what I'm saying, though, right? If I think that there could be a case where there's going to be like it's not going to be forced vaccinations. It's going to be passports. So there's going to be a case that's going to hit the Supreme Court at some point in the next 2 years where a state has enacted some sort of a COVID passport, and they say that you can't do X, Y, and Z unless you have a passport. And I think the Supreme Court is gonna throw it out. They're gonna say, no, you can't do that. I was setting up a what if situation. I was setting up a what if. The whole point of the what if situation was to set up a scenario where the government really truly was doing something that most of you would agree is something that the government shouldn't be allowed to do. And I'm saying, if the government can do this thing, then how can you legally say that they're not allowed to do the thing that you don't want them to do? Right? Let me eat a little bit more. Keller says the solution is like trying to cover up the problem emotionally rather than deal with it in reality. Well, here's how you deal with it in reality, Keller. You get better at educating and convincing people that taking the vaccine is safe and good. Right? This is the whole problem, is that these people, they come in and they're like, well, these people aren't taking the vaccine. We can't allow this deviant behavior. We have to force them to do it. You know what that does to all the people that don't want to take the vaccine? Well, why do they want me to take the vaccine so bad? I'm not going to take it now. They do the exact thing that is going to be the least convincing to that group of people. I just don't get how they go through their head and they're like screaming about this on the news that it's all the anti-vaxxers' fault. Is like that's somehow going to be effective at getting more people vaccinated, right? But that's what you do about it. The solution to an issue like this isn't to force people to do it. It's to become more persuasive. It's like my kids. If my kid wants to do heroin, okay, like as a parent, what do? Well, you're a really good parent and you've taught your kids well, and they don't go into that sort of a thing. And there is a certain point where there's probably a certain kid that is just going to do meth, and there's nothing that you can do to stop it. But you can't say that you can't teach people and that there's effective. But if you're the parent and you come in and you're like, I'm super strict and now you're going to be in super trouble, and for their whole life, they're more likely to become that. They're more because you never gave them like freedom to make their own decisions, And the same thing happens at the government level. It's just trying to solve the problem through force makes the problem worse. Afterward, well, thanks for stopping in. It was a good discussion. What's this? Let's skip school today, go to a movie, eat too much candy, and then find an old-fashioned square dance. The heck with adulting. Okay, well, I'm interested to see what Ace does here. I think I know which way he's going to go. I'm going to write it. I'm going to write it over here. Okay, I wrote it over here on this chart. But then when we see him make a trade, we'll see if I was right. It might change. If it changes, I'll change my file. Oh, he says going to test along here at 78. What did I write? What did you see up there in the upper right? Yep, he went long. Good deal. Good deal. Although I do have to admit, it's movement this morning hasn't been the best, but start to charge for it. Oh my gosh, no, that would be that. You're so right, Dan. Dude, you're brilliant. There was this. What you ever heard this story about potatoes? Like, there was this royal guy, and he wanted people to grow potatoes, and so he'd give the peasants potatoes, and they didn't like the potatoes, so they wouldn't grow it. So he said, "Okay, we're gonna make this royal garden, and we're gonna just plant potatoes, and you set up guards and everything, and make it like a big deal that nobody's allowed to have these potatoes." But then he told the guards, like, anybody that tries to sneak some, just let them have them. And so because it was like this, only the rich people are allowed to have this sort of a thing, all of the peasants would steal the potatoes and started growing potatoes and liked them. And that's how he was able to get potatoes to take off in his country. But you could do the same thing with the vaccine for sure. So you come out with a new, better vaccine, and you say, but we can only vaccinate billionaires. And then there'll be all these people that'll be like, yeah, but I can get, I got some. And you just produce a lot more than you say. And, everybody will want it. You already took a point, really? It is awfully slow this morning. I think these PMIs that we're gonna get at we get one at 7:45, right? Do we have one at 10? No, we don't. Just the market PMIs. I do think that we could get some movement off of those. So let's see. Oh, not yet, but you're saying you will, because it's just being so slow. Gotcha. Yeah, see, the thing that is difficult is I don't necessarily want to talk about conspiracy theories or like unverified information per se, but we do have to talk about human behavior for one thing, and we do have to talk about things that we aren't sure about, because really when in the markets it always comes down to facts that we're not 100% sure about. Like with this thing going on in the bonds is like a great example. Like we have a bunch of different theories, but we're not 100% sure which theory was the cause. And of course, at the end of it, we'll probably have a much clearer picture of what it is. But as it is right now, there's different people have different opinions, and it's hard to suss out which ones matter and which ones don't, right? So it's interesting to talk about from that. But how do you talk about those sorts of things without actually going down the rabbit hole, right? I don't do such a good job of that all the time. And the thing is that it's in the conspiracy theory related things where you really get to see some of these behaviors that humans exhibit that you want to discuss, right? Well, like how people react to being forced to take a vaccine. It was once debating this crazy chick from PETA saying we shouldn't kill the mice with poison and let them destroy all the farmers' crops to save the mice. Oh man. That whole thing about like the mice that you get in Australia is crazy. Like, how does that happen? Some of those videos are wild. Oh my gosh. I don't even want to think about it. No. What do we got? 15 minutes to the open? I haven't tweeted much recently. Maybe I should do that. Sometimes I'm like, I wish I had a big Twitter following because that seems to be a powerful platform. But then I'm like, yeah, but I don't tweet anything anyways. We need to treat animals better, especially the ones we eat. I have a theory, unpopular theory, but I read this on Reddit once, and once I read it, it's just I couldn't forget about it. What if cows like to be eaten? Like, what if they're like masochistic, you know? And if we could talk to cows, they'd be like, please eat me. Look at how tasty I am. This is my whole life is to get as tasty as possible for you. So please do that because that's my purpose. What if that's what they said to you if you could talk to a cow? Wildfires and drought. What if frogs had wing? Hey man, I'm just saying. I think that cows are smarter than you give them credit for, actually. It's really funny. Cows are really intelligent, but they're also really stupid. Like, it's just, you're right. Like they don't think in the kind of like the higher level abstractions that we do. But at the same time, they do very much have like emotions and stuff. And I'm not on board with this whole like synthetic meat thing. That one always kind of, because I feel like I'm being coerced into something, you know? It's the same thing. It's like, you know what? Maybe grown meat would be okay. Or synthetic meat. Because there's not just there's the stuff that's like, we made it out of soybeans and we just made it taste good. But then there's also, we're starting to get like, we actually grew it off of a mouse or something. I don't know how it works, but I keep seeing instances where they're trying to use coercion to get people to get it, and they're even kind of starting to look at things like I'm seeing situations where they're like, we're going to ban regular meat and you can only eat synthetic meat. Like, that's what they want to do, right? And because they want to do that, it's like, I don't want that. I don't want that. Give me the real thing. You know, this is the coercion. People react to coercion in the exact way you don't want them to. I'd rather eat a fish to save a cow and would rather sacrifice a plant to save a fish. Well, it seems to me like that fish is a more natural part of the human diet, yeah? Like, those omega-3 fatty acids are really important to healthy brain development. And where do you get those from? Fish and eggs. And modern day people apparently don't get enough of it. So where would you be able to get enough of it? Fish. Ergo, my conclusion, our ancestors must have liked fish. Which is kind of weird because a lot of people don't like fish. My mom doesn't like fish. Flax oil. Oh yeah, you can get it from flax oil. You're right. I didn't even think about that. So if I have my oatmeal with flax seeds in it, does that mean that I get those omega-3s? Guess as we are all just going to start hunting. There are people out there that think that it should be like that. I mean, that kind of reminds me, like, one of the things that happens is there will be like a work of science fiction that, you know, ends up being really prescient. And it's like, okay, were they really good at predicting the future, or was the story that they made actually make it happen? Like 1984 is a good example. When that book was written, man, how did he know that the world would, you know, they'd be able to make televisions and it would look back, you know, like, because those weren't a thing when he wrote that book, right? Anyways, and I think that a work of art that scares me, right, is what is it called? Children of Men, right? Is that what it's called? Yep, Children of Men. That movie kind of scares me. I think that it's more a liberal horror, you know, because the impression that I get in that movie is that it is a highly conservative government that is basically set up like a ghetto in that movie. But it's like there's a big disease, people can't have kids anymore, and I'm like, I had a great elk burger last night, but don't think that elk wanted to feed my family. Okay, if animals could talk and they actually had higher level thinking, which obviously they don't. They really don't think in terms much more than, I like eating, I should do this, this feels good. I don't think that they really think beyond that, right? But if they had higher level thinking and they were capable of that sort of thing, I think that most animals would take the same kind of perspective as like the Indians did, that like there's a circle of life and all lives are dependent upon each other, and sometimes people of my species die and become food for the other people, and that's just the way that life works. And I don't think that the elk would hold it against you. Or let me put it this way: when you get to these, you know, when you die and you find out that the Mormons were right, Ace, and you go to the celestial kingdom and you talk to that deer who will most clearly be a celestial deer, and you ask him about it, he's gonna say that he has no hard feelings about it. Flax lignans are not flax oil, unfortunately, so you have to eat the seed. Well, I had I don't know what lignans are. I'm gonna have to go and do some research then. I got some oatmeal the other day that is like, it's instant oatmeal that is steel cut and has flax seeds in it. I was like, ooh. It's quite good. I really like the steel cut. Oh, I think steel cut oatmeal is way better than rolled oats. Especially if you really cook it. Like if I just get the steel cut and then do it in the pressure cooker, oh, it's so great. And you kind of get this. You can kind of get it to this right consistency where like it's still very, very soft, but there's just enough chew in it that it's interesting. I like it. It's fun. He will be walking around with a bullet hole. No. In the celestial kingdom, they have reconstructive surgery to fix those problems, right? Come on, didn't you learn about this stuff in Sunday school? Because that is going to be awkward. What about all the bacteria we kill? Will they be waiting to chat? Oh man, you know what, Ace? So my understanding is that if you go and you buy the Journal of Discourses, okay, so I'm talking about Mormon stuff here, guys, right? There's these books called the Journals of Discourses, and it started with like the president and apostles of the church in the early days, and they had like conversations and journals and stuff, and they compiled it together. But if you get the whole Journals of Discourses, it's like an encyclopedia, amount of books. Okay. And I knew this guy in Missouri. This guy was oh man. Okay. This guy was a very top level guy in the reorganized church. So there was Mormons, and then they left. They got kicked out of Missouri, but then there was a group of people that stayed behind, and they thought that Joseph Smith's son was supposed to become the prophet, and so they created like a splinter church. It was very different from the LDS church, but he was in that church, and he was pretty high up in the leadership, is my understanding. And so he had access to resources, and he was just a very scholarly kind of person, so he would do so much reading. And the reason he says that he left their church and then he went and joined the LDS church was because he had started getting into like their historical documents and stuff, and there was too much stuff that he couldn't deny that the LDS church was the one that was supposed to become the church. That was his claim, right? So this is where I'm getting this from. I haven't read it myself, but he had the Journals of Discourses, and I'm not kidding. It was like you have like a bookshelf, and it would cover a whole shelf. And apparently, in the Journals of Discourses, the prophet, because the LDS people believe that after this life that you you achieve a kingdom of glory, and that there are multiple kingdoms of glory. And they also believe that animals do the same thing. Okay, that everything with the soul will eventually go to one of these kingdoms of glory. Okay, and like that part is doctrinal. And so the apostles in the Journals of Discourses argued about what has a soul and what doesn't, and what does it mean to be like a celestial plant or a terrestrial plant or whatever it is. So they had arguments about, okay, will all of these plants that died be in the celestial kingdom, and like what does it mean for a plant? Like what does a plant have to do to reach the celestial kingdom? Right? It was like right, but that apparently is in there. That's none of that is doctrinal. That's like, but they have had arguments about it. If I was attacked by a bear and had a sexy scar on my face, I would want it to stay with me in the afterlife. Well, maybe you will. I'm just saying that will have reconstructive surgery in there. If you wanted to get rid of it, you'll be able to. I don't know. I think of it as like if we were just had like really high level technology, like yeah. Well, this long was working out so okay for you so far, yes. It sure is slow, though. Oh, did David OMK really say that? If I can't be with my horse in heaven, it won't be here. See, the rest of you guys are like, what the hell is he talking about? This guy is crazy. Now, I have to say, when I was a missionary, the kinds of the discussions and arguments that the elders would have with that sort of a thing, where I think some of the funnest parts about being a missionary. It's fun. Like the issue with science, okay, is there's a lot of really interesting and fun debates to have in science. But the issue is that in order to really have those debates, you have to be like a PhD in theoretical physics, right? It's just luck. Yeah, I think it is just luck, actually. No, so like the issue always comes back to this for me, Ace. Why did it move up 2 points? Right? Why did it move up 2 points? And were you was the reason that you took the trade the same reason that it actually moved up 2 points? Or did it just kind of happen to be in line? Because if it just happened to be in line with it, then it was luck, right? Don't care why. I mean, I think it matters. I think that what you're saying is akin to say, I don't care why gravity exists. All I know is that if I let go of something, it drops. Right? But for us to really understand how gravity and maybe take advantage of it to do something like make anti-gravity, because maybe what we're trying to do is not all that different. Okay, so here's the open. And the first move on the open looks like a sell. So then the thing is, what do you do when it stops working? Ascar says, for market depth indicators, libraries are open in NT8. That's really something that I should do. My understanding is that you should be able to use them in indicators, but you wouldn't need to. I can't do it on my side because I have like the code on here, but I'm pretty sure that if you knew what the methods are, and it's the same values that you get from any other indicator, that you can use my market depth indicators, even though they're in a DLL. But I think I have to try that on a different machine. A says that you just stop trading. Oh, okay. Okay. You get the text. No, you don't. Oh man. If only that's what was happening. The truth is the guy at the CME doesn't know what it's gonna do either. The guest says, do you know if you can access the order flow volume profile? You can't. No. Yeah, I have tried doing that actually, and it is a real that there is not. So I wanted to write, the thing that does like draws the colors in the background based on the market depth map. I forget what they call it in NinjaTrader, but I wanted to modify that and make my own version of that, but they don't expose any of it to you. It's like almost all hidden from you. So sucks. Yeah. But what happens is when you use a DLL, like the code is hidden from you, but the methods that it uses, you can see. So you might have to like go into Visual Studio and right click on the method and say go to definition, and it will show you that way. But you should be able to use any of my indicators in the same way that I do for automated trading. This market depth map, it's book. No. NinjaTrader has one too. It's not nearly as advanced as book maps, but Which platforms do you use? So I have a video on the channel called What is the Best Day Trading Software Platform, where I talk about that. But long story short, I use NinjaTrader 8 and Jigsaw Day Trader for execution. Ace says they always hide the important stuff. I don't know. For the volume profile thing that they did, I mean, you can do your own. It's not that big of a deal. Oh, somebody said my name in Discord. That's weird. They just said my name in Discord. Didn't leave any comment or say anything. Wait, I didn't. Wait, what did I read out your thing and say that it was Ace? No, Uzi said they always hide the important stuff. Yes, but hey, you can edit the moving average. Yeah. I tell you what. The thing that bothers me in the day trading platforms is that there's a lot of really basic things. Like really, like in terms of like how complicated they are to write, they're not that complicated, but none of the platforms include them. Why don't any of the platforms include a spread? Why doesn't NinjaTrader have a built-in spread indicator? This is super weird, don't you think? I think it's kind of weird. Oh, he's listening. My name is Maka's listening. Cool. Or like another one is that for institutional traders, like this market analyzer that I got here is like a really important tool to them. And I remember the Ready, when people showed me Ready Trader, they had this whole thing where you could change all of the settings about how it colored it. So if the last tick or whatever it like changes up, that just that one digit will light up. So it'll be like, normally it'll be all white, except for the 2 will be green because it just moved up. And so they know what just moved and how much and everything. And that was like a huge part of the platform. And then you come into retail day trading platforms and they're like afterthoughts. Maybe I should file a complaint with Win. I was thinking about the other day, like maybe I should change the text-to-speech thing to create a list of people that it will always read out. Because the issue came in with like, it would interrupt me, right? And then I'm too lazy to click the buttons. So I don't know what to do about it. For the record, NinjaTrader has a whole boatload. Yeah, it has a lot of indicators, so just saying. But there are some things. So another one that is not around that really bothers me is co-integration. So I found one in NinjaTrader 7 and converted it over for myself, but I haven't put it out there because I'm not confident in it. There's problems with it. But nobody's made a co-integration indicator for NinjaTrader 8. And it's not built into the platform. I think that it's something that should be built into the platform. But that nobody that uses NinjaTrader 8 has even thought to use co-integration, that is a super important thing, right? How much capital do you trade? Well, today I'm trading Sim. I have a very small account. I don't take on a lot of risk. I'm saving most of my risk for August. I did take a trade. I made $160 on Monday. I'm positive for the week. And I'm also doing a combine account right now. But yeah, kind of looks like the market is just gonna continue to play these games until the news. Yeah, one more trade. Just wait until after the news, Ace.
Order filled.
There's my robot finally got stopped out. That's unfortunate. I don't think he should have taken that one. In fact, I'm kind of looking at it like, was that really? Well, okay, so we have to go to 8. Is it possible to add? Well, it's if you import C# library, and you can do just about anything. So yeah. The reason they don't make it so complex is it would scare off people. That's the reason why Robinhood is popular, maybe. Like, I don't think that co-integration is that complicated. It's a sophisticated calculation. It's a little bit harder to do. You have probably include somebody else's library to do it, but what's the PMI going to be like? Oh, that's a good question. I haven't looked at it yet. Let's look at it. Okay, so the forecast for manufacturing is 62 and services is 64. And those are pretty close to in line with the previous readings. So if I were forced to guess, I would say that they're going to be close, but slightly less. Do you ever try to build an index based on number of instruments? Well, I have one. I have the dollar index. Right, there's my synthetic dollar index. That's what that's doing essentially. It would be interesting to build one based on all S&P 500 stocks, but I don't get that much data for that. So, and it would be a lot to crunch. I don't know if it'd be worth it. This is going to cover it. Wait 5 minutes. Let's wait 5 minutes. Then we get something. We'll see if we get a market or not. Wow, I'm really disappointed that my robot lost money today. I don't know if it's going to take another one. I guess we could put in suggestions to NinjaTrader for the wish list. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I can write these things myself, so I guess it doesn't really bother me so much, but... Yeah, my name is Amaka. It's better if you put comments relating to the stream in the YouTube chat. There's also a stream channel in Discord, but that's really for like if you want to show me a picture or something like that. Oh, or maybe you must be listening through Discord, huh? Yeah. See, I have a YouTube stream too. Yeah, I see. You're the one person listening on Discord. Oh, there was 5 at one point? That's cool. I think it goes on Discovery, so... Interesting action.
Order filled. Order filled.
Cool. Says, yeah, I attract. Oh, well, if you search for Speculator Seth on YouTube, then you find the YouTube channel and you see that live stream. There's a lot more discussion. There's a lot more people chatting over there. And instead of blaming its creator, it blames itself for its own shortcomings. I don't know. Sure, you could program that, I guess. Okay, 64 spot 5 for the manufacturing and 62 for the services. Okay, services slightly higher than expected.
Order filled.
I missed what he said there. Okay, Flash services was 59 spot 8. So manufacturing was better than expected. Services was less than expected. Oh, done for the day, right? Don't go along. Oh, I took one. I did take one. I like that the manufacturing number was high. I don't know if the services number being low is a big deal or not. Did you ever study Jim Simmons' strategy? Is there any info? They've been incredibly tight-lipped about it, actually. There's a book out there about that kind of purports to be about that. But they don't really tell you in that book. They give a lot of interesting insights, but they don't actually explain how any of their strategies work. I could speculate though. I'm going to bet that actual valuing the assets is a significant part of it. Okay. Ace does go long, huh? Okay. That's actually a little weird because I took it just off of the news and then you didn't get too much worse of a position than me. Wait, then we are the creators, therefore we are getting to the robots. I think the robot would probably blame us in the end. I'm thinking we're gonna break the regular session high right now. Yeah. Come on. Just a little bit more. some profit taking there still. So I think that we break the regular session high, then we break the overnight high, and then we break the all-time high. And I think that there could still be quite a bit of upside potential here. Well, so a little bit of a pullback, but there's still interesting order flow going on over here. So it says that, yeah. It's a little disappointing the way that worked out so far, huh? I think there's still a possibility that they could go for like all-time highs today, but I don't know. Yeah, you're green for the day. So it's only a small winner for though. Oh, I have my dollar cut off here. A useless short signal showed up. You don't believe it? The way they're trading, you're probably going to get a long here in a second, yeah? Nope, maybe not. They'll drop 3 points, 4 points. Look at the treasury. I think what might be going on here is the treasuries are reading that last news as easy money again. which is probably why the E-mini initially moved up as well. Normally a move like that would create some stuff, but I think in that instance it was just so happened that they didn't break the overnight high, so doesn't mean that they won't go back up there and eventually break it. And I think that if they do break it, that there will probably be quite a bit of excitement over it, but for now they're testing the other side of the range. Mental floss as a fact generator, huh? Okay. It's an awfully interesting battle here in the flow, isn't it?
Order filled.
I don't like what I'm seeing here. Especially with those treasuries pushing like that. Okay, well, they just broke the low end of the range now. Some absorption, though. Can you open a natty chart? What do you mean a natty chart? Oh, natural gas? You mean like HP? Or no, QG? Natty ice? Oh, I don't get natty ice. That's QG. I don't know if that's actually what you wanted, huh? Oil is getting killed here, by the way. Like a look at the treasury continues. Let's reset them over here. The 30-year might still have a little bit in it. Wondering if Uzi has any good price levels in... Actually, no, I think I can figure out what they would be. Oh, geez. 164.06, 164.16. Yeah, Bosie's got 16. Yep. I'm disappointed in my robot today. I'm disappointed in myself today, but it doesn't look like they just are going to go. Maybe now that I'm giving up, they're going to go for the high again. I don't know. You can definitely see the liquidity vacuum that they've formed. Zoop, zoop. Double humps. U.S. services PMI plunges unexpectedly to 5 months low as business outlook slumps. HG is Henry Gas. That's what it stands for, right? Ah, yes, I see. Except for that HG is futures is copper. I'm really tempted to go long, but I think that I've taken too much for Friday on the combine, so I'm just gonna sit out. We could try this right here. And then we're kind of wondering though if they're not gonna pull the rug out from underneath of us in the 10-year on 05. Stick says that market out. What, this one down at the bottom? Oh, I wish I could get rid of that. There we go. Well, buyers are still there. No, you, Seth. You're the market. Thanks. Thank you. You hear that, folks? I'm neat. Gee whiz, mister. Those charts sure are neat. Thank you. I'm gonna be super mad if the E-mini goes up again there. Oh, I so want to just click in. Oh, fetch. I mean, I'll do it. I'll do it on here. That's what I'll do. Okay. You. Your stop got hunted. I feel like that I got stop hunted a little bit in the E-mini. Like the original buy was like really good. I don't know. I like it. It's gonna go. Like, look at this. Come on. But I'd only have $100 to work with. It wouldn't be worth it. Three losers. I gotta stop. AO, hope all is well. Hey, thank you. We're doing this hasn't been the best day for the Combine account, but I'm feeling okay. I had a good week. TN moves like UB, but with the liquidity of ZB? Oh, really? Just wait until those yield futures come in. I think y'all going to be really happy with what that does. What broker do you use? I'm using Ninja Trader Brokerage right now. Bring it up. Hold on. Is that only 8 o'clock? Oh, man, we still got an hour. Okay. Good. What is a day trading margin for the E-mini? Well, it depends on your... Oh, so for Ninja Trader, I think it's 400. Oh, should I lock the trading room door so I don't have kids come in to tell me which is their favorite Monster High character? Childhood doesn't last real. You should have a period of time that is strictly just for trading, and you should have a period of time that is strictly just for kids. Good. I will do the opposite then. Good. Very, very good, yes. I'm quite pleased. Quite pleased with that in the treasury. Now the E-mini, not so much. Do you know how I can get rid of empty columns on the DOM from Jigsaw? Well, so the columns that are empty are not really empty. You're probably talking about the order column and the alert column. But when you go in here to the wrench and the settings come up, if it'll come up here, and then you'll have, oh, you know what? I got it, by the way. Yeah, okay. And then here there's the alert column and the order column, and you just uncheck those. I'm clicking a computer mouse. Well, we have taken trades when the kids have been in here and they haven't been all that disruptive, but they won't come in and bother me unless they think they have a good reason, right? So when I think about this, I don't remember where I got it from, but I was watching some psychologist, and he was saying that the most important parts of your parenting happen between, first before the age of 3, and then before the age of like 12 to 14. And the reason for that was that they're saying that like after those points, their peers have a much larger influence on how they learn than you do. And so particularly when they were under 3, the whole point of that is to get them to the point where they can function in society and be accepted by their peers. Because if you get them to 3 and their peers reject them at 3, then you just start falling behind more and more and more, right? So when I think about the rules that I have for my kids, of course there are some rules that that's just what is proper for the household or whatever me and my wife need. But the other side of it is teaching them to function in the world. And so one of the problems that I find kids have is knowing when it's appropriate to bring something up and when it's not. I mean, this is something that people in general deal with, right? So hold up. And that is an exit signal for me. Don't know what that was. Maybe they continue up, but that's a sign of informed trading that I am not going to mess with. Okay, so anyways, setting rules about certain times and what is appropriate during those times, I think teaches them important things. So to come in and say the first 3 hours while I'm in the office, you're not supposed to come into the room and be noisy because I'm streaming. Do they benefit and learn something from that? I think they do. Where are you long from? I was long from my average. I had my average position down at 76, but what I just saw there is action I don't want to be a part of. If I was trading, I'd have a lockdown. Well, and the thing is I wouldn't say lock it. I would just say, okay, when I'm trading, was it a good trade? I suppose. I appreciate it. I don't know. It goes back to what I was saying earlier, right? Was the reason that I took it wrong the reason that it was moving? Or did it just happen to be in line with it? And the reason why I got out of that trade was because I saw something that suggested to me that I was just lucky. You see, you like it when people tell you a good job? I'm not so sure I do. To be honest. I think that all I care about is that I get better at it, you know? Is that bad? I should be. I should care, shouldn't I? This is just not the mode that I'm in when I'm trading. You got really lucky on that trade. Let's hope you get better at being lucky. There you go. I felt like I got a little bit lucky there. Like here's the thing is I took some other trades in on the Combine account based on the news. I tried taking it both directions and I wasn't able to get anything either direction. And when you add that on top of the loser that I had already had, that's minus 400. So, you know, I had used up my luck today. I mean, I had used up my risk today. It's okay. I think that we did a good job managing it this time, and I didn't run into the problems that screwed me up earlier in the week. If we didn't have that problem, I think we'd still be up a little bit, but only by like 1 or 2 trades. So it's okay. That puts the Combine overall down 200, which is fine. I do feel like that the robot needs to be taking more trades. So I'm kind of sitting here like thinking about, what do I got to do here? Is just me taking some trades on here going to be enough? Probably it could be. If this had trended, if that scenario had worked out, and it's possible, you know, maybe it's just kind of bad luck that it didn't, and then that would have been a $500 winner. So I don't know. If you were up an hour before you were done on Friday, you were done. There you go. Maybe that's my problem. Why I'm thinking this is a skill on the level of a professional athlete, and instead it's just gambling. No, that's not that either. I kind of question about, well, you're still using something else other than the moving averages that you showed me, right? It's kind of weird because you give me different prices now, but the way that you flip around is still the same. It's kind of weird. Yeah, but I think that what the majority of retail traders do is just gambling. I do. I think that most of the things that retail traders look at don't actually matter. And I don't think that they really have, if they really had the data, if they really understood the data science behind it, they probably wouldn't be trading it, you know? That's what I honestly believe. But I do believe I've found things because of both empirical research and because of my own investigation and data science that I believe is adequate in some edges, right? But like with this Combine account, for instance, there's a degree of yellow to it. There really is. Because it doesn't behave quite the same as it does in the back test. So far, it's behaved a lot better than the back test, but it doesn't behave exactly the way that the back test does. I think there's some issues with it because the order flow before the market open and the order flow after the market open are very different, and that's leading to some issues. But I don't know, it was working pretty well before. Maybe we can just keep it that way anyways. Right? They gamble like pro poker players. Well, so apparently there are different levels of gambling, right? There's like classes. So I don't know the details, but apparently there's like different classes of gambling, and poker is one class and like slots is a different class. And there's different rules attached to them. I'd like to hear more. I know, I'm trying to search, but I'm not finding anything. Social gaming for minimal prizes, class 2, game of chance. It also applies to games played exclusively against another player rather than against the house. Class 3, casino style. Slot machines, blackjack, craps, roulette, wagering games, electronic facsimiles. Oh, I see. So poker falls under this class 2 because it's against another player. But there are others that fall under slot 3, and those are the most regulated. Crossing the street while the headlight is green, is it gambling? No, like, yeah, you gotta back up. By the way, this is gonna have to come down, I guess. There's different levels of it, right? Okay, so you guys are talking about psychology, which is really ability to execute the strategy. Okay. But what I'm hinting at here is there's something else, which is the market inefficiency. Right? And then there's the strategy, okay, which is the thing you're exploiting. How you exploit the inefficiency. Right? So, what we're saying is there an inefficiency with the market that when you get a certain amount of momentum that you're likely to go a little bit more? And you can take that and on average, over the long haul, you will make money over that. And then if we say that there is truly a market inefficiency there, then we can come in and how do we exploit that strategy? Well, we can have a stop and target of set amounts, and we can average we can average out of the trade to try and allow us to take runners, right? And then the psychology part is your ability to actually execute on that strategy part. All right. But here's the thing. If the market inefficiency in the particular case that we're talking about, momentum, is not actually a thing, then it doesn't matter how good your psychology becomes. The results of your strategy will always be random. Because that edge doesn't actually exist. So I continue to ask, is there actually an inefficiency there that you're taking advantage of? How am I to know? Well, I can come in and I can do my stats and I can, like this one, I back tested it over, a year or two worth of data, and it says that it makes money overall. But then when I start trading it, it trades it really well. But it's not the same trades that the back tests say that it would have made. What am I supposed to read from that? Maybe it works, and it's possible that it works. The data that I'm getting doesn't falsify the hypothesis that the inefficiency that I'm taking advantage of is there, but it's questionable, right? It's super questionable. So, well, I'm saying psychology is useless if you don't have an underlying market inefficiency that you're taking advantage of. With enough risk management, the spread is guaranteed to eat you away. Well, the spread can harm you, yeah. Mm-hmm. Trader psyche has nothing to do with edges. You want to exploit edge without psyche? Okay. You say so. I'm just telling you. You can have the most solid market psychology. You do all of the right things. If you don't have a real edge, you don't have a behavior in the market that is different than random, that you're actually taking advantage of, there is no amount of psychology that will save you. There's no amount of psychology that will save you. And there are so many retail traders out there that think that the answer is psychology, and they fail to. Like, there's a lot of them out there, apparently. Like, it goes in cycles, right? How do you arrive at the edge without proper psychology? That's a good question. Process. If you have a good process, it doesn't matter what you're thinking. That's why I made those videos about the backtesting your strategy. You go through those videos and you go through that process and you are disciplined, then you stand a good chance of finding an edge eventually. There are those that don't believe in an edge, take a trade, it goes, milk it. If it doesn't, end it, repeat. Well, then what you're saying is that it is gambling, right? Isn't that gambling? How do you keep your process straight without proper psychology? You can get, yeah, but again, it's like there's this whole thing about like your psychology of like when it's going down against you and how do you deal with that trade and that sort of a thing. I'm not saying that psychology is irrelevant. I'm just saying that it comes after this other stuff. Like, you got to get things first. First, you actually have to have an inefficiency and an effective strategy to take advantage of it. Then you can worry about your psychology. A says, sounds like gambling to me. But you don't believe that what you're doing is gambling, do you? No. So then the question is, how do you know that you have a real market inefficiency and that the strategy is an effective way to take advantage of it? You can do anything without thinking at first? Well, I mean, there's different parts of market psychology, but I'm just telling you, like, reading a bunch of psychology, A's have never thought about it. Oh man, well, okay. That is not the answer that I was expecting from you. I feel like I'm not trying to trash you guys, but I believe that the reason that people get so uppity when I trash market psychology is because they feel like their market psychology is the only edge that they really have. But here I'm just telling you the reality of the way that the market works. If I can, how can I? Oh my gosh, it's not going to let me clear this. Okay. The reality of the market is this: if you have, a trade like this, okay, you have bars like this, and there's this moving average, right? And you come in and you say, I'm going to sell this moving average, okay? I'm just using moving average as an example because it's a really easy way to explain this, okay? Now, if there is a market inefficiency, which is that when we, to simplify things out, when we cross the moving average, we have a certain chance of it going so far, okay? And we know that happens. Like, we've done all the research and we say, we know that happens, okay? Then what are we going to do? As soon as it crosses that line, we're going to sell it. And everybody else that knows about this market inefficiency is going to sell it too. And what's the selling going to do? It's going to cause it to move down, right? But there's a limit on how far it can go, right? If we sell it and maybe the inefficiency, it's supposed to take it to here, but because we sell it, it goes down to here, then what's going to happen is it's going to come right back out, right? And then the question is, how early in that do you take it? Because if everybody knew that the cross was going to make it move, then it would go like this, goodish, right? And it would just be luck as to whether you were the first one or the last one. And chat, probably because you're a retail trader, you're going to be one of the last ones, right? So if that was the case, so now we've got this thing, it goes like this, and then there's a goodish, right? And then a reversal, right? Okay. So we have a probable signal right here, but we can't take advantage of it because too many people take advantage of it, right? Then what do we have to do? We're going to have to go short somewhere over here, right? Well, then everybody else tries doing the same thing. So they start selling it too. So now you get something that's more like this, right? Right? And you keep doing it earlier and earlier. But here's the thing is there's a trade-off for doing it earlier, right? Because you won't have as much certainty. Over here, you know for sure it's going to happen, but you can't take it. Over here, you might say it has a 60% chance of happening or whatever that is. Of course, in reality, the chances are going to be like way, way lower than that, right? But the point is that you're going to take it earlier and earlier and earlier, and basically until the point at which this thing doesn't happen anymore. It'll be so subtle you can't even see it, and you won't be able to detect it. And it essentially the market movement becomes no different than noise. Okay, so if you have an actual market inefficiency, other people are going to try and take advantage of it, and you have to be competitive on that level of catching it and being first, okay? So it comes down to, again, you have to have an actual inefficiency first, right? And then you have to be competitive on that inefficiency. All right. But this whole thing that like where does that derive from? You know, like you can have like really strong psychology and look around at all these things, but if you spend all of your time looking at retail trader indicators and trying to sort out the edge that every other person is looking at, and that robots are already made all of the money that there is to make money on, what are your results going to be? They're going to be random. And because of the spread, you think that this should be the distribution of an individual trade, that an individual trade, on any individual trade, you should make this much money, right? But it's not. It's actually, if this is 0, it's actually more like this because of the spread. Okay? And if we just say that the probability of any one individual trade working out is Gaussian like that, then what is the distribution supposed to look at your total profit and loss after 1,000 trades? Well, then what it's going to do is it's going to just have more kurtosis. So you're going to get something like this, where the vast majority of traders lose, and then there's like a small little 20% that make money, and then there's the one set of guys that consistently make money that are this tail, right? And that's just like the random probabilities, right? How do you avoid that? How do you avoid that? You have to have something that's not just random. There's no way around it. There has to be a behavior, something that the market consistently does that's not just random and that not everybody else is looking at, so that it won't be arbitraged out of the market. That's literally, from the math, the only way to do it. Well, if you say that you don't trade random, then that means that there's a real inefficiency and an effective strategy to take advantage of it. Holy Grail distribution? I've never heard of that before. is a probability distribution with a positive mean and a right fat tail. A returns profile, a hypothetical investment vehicle that produces small returns centered on zero and occasionally exhibits outsized positive returns. Yeah, that's exactly what you're going to get it. Yeah. Except for that, the one that I'm showing you has a negative mean, right? Because he's right. If you get a good trade, if an optimal strategy would be one where you make a little bit of money most of the time, and then sometimes you make a ton of money. And this is really, really fat, and this is not. This is not fat at all. Yeah, that would be like the perfect trade. Does Taleb say that it exists? Huh. Holy Grail has a negative. No, this is saying that it has a positive mean. So, anyways. So this is why it's like psychology is a great thing to talk about, but until you have a market inefficiency, until you've found a market inefficiency, like that's the real focus, right? So if you think you've found a market inefficiency, how do you know? How do you know? How would you know? Forget how that TikTok sound goes. Well, and there's two issues here, right? There is an inefficiency that I know exists, right? But am I competitive on it? That's the question that we're always asking. And some situations I am, and in some situations I'm not. Right? I thought that something was going on. I thought that it was a buy. And it looks like in the end it was a buy, right? It would have been a good trade. Well, let's see here. Where did I get in at? Where was the long? 75. Okay. So I would have made 10 points by now. I would have been a $500 trade. That would have been the max winner that I can get. But it went against me first. So was it really the reason that I thought it was? Because I thought because of the news and the way that the market reacted to it, that ultimately we were going to move up. Didn't happen. So if I had made money on that trade, I would have to say that it was luck in that particular instance. Because it didn't have to do with the actual like edge. Right? Because the edge is the news. And as such, when I take a trade, there are times where I come back and I say, well, I was lucky. So like here on the 10-year, this is the even better example, right? I averaged in a trade there and made 2 ticks. The 2 ticks that I made were good, but the one that I really wanted, which was it ticking into 60, never happened. So what did I really have here we're talking about a combination of edges, but I think in the long run, I was really lucky that I was able to get a fill before it came down. that I got the fill before it came down, I think that was mostly luck. $61 likes. Wow, really? NASDAQ Trader says it takes me too long just to choose a background to my desktop, then I change it 10 years. Well, I just want to tell you, for anybody that would be tempted to try and help the channel out by creating false views or false likes, it doesn't actually help the channel in the long run. It might boost that one video, but it doesn't make the channel go viral or anything. Because we've had videos that genuinely go viral, but then we don't get the follow through to the larger channels. So yeah, I gotta show you actually. It's super interesting. We talk about it all the time, don't we? But how to get 1 million views to your next video guaranteed, says Brian G. Johnson. Oh my, that's a big claim. I think he's full of crap. Okay. Okay, so here you can see our overall channel activity. This one in late 2017 was when we had the earthquake. Man, that seems like that just barely happened. That's so weird. Oh, no, wait, that was not the earthquake. That was the Ninja Trader. No, that was the CME Bitcoin futures opening. Right? And then this one was the earthquake. Right? And then this little period where if you really zoom in on it, you can see. Oh, okay, if we do it black. Okay, this little spike right here was GameStop. Right? So we've had videos that go viral, but they don't translate to success over the rest of the channel. Because people being really interested in that one video doesn't make them interested necessarily in all of the other content that we have. Unfortunately. Seth, I looked it up again, and the Holy Grail has a positive mean because of the fat tail, but the average trade would be loser, just like being long an option or VIX. Oh, okay. Well, I must say, Salim, since the past month or so, he's been well behaved. And it reminded me much more of when he first came into the channel, and I'm glad to have him here when he's like that. So, I mean, I'm happy to have anybody that talks and contributes, right? The only thing that I really dislike is when people claim that they know something and then they can't prove it to us. When people make performance claims and then can't back it up. Man. The fattest tail distribution, by the way, is one single very large deviation from the mean. Oh, really? Okay. Like you're saying that it would be like everything, everything is over here like this. And then there's one trade that's like way out here. So fattest tail wealth distribution would be Bill Gates owning everything. Gotcha. I think though that what's more like what you want is something that's more like this. Like if your average trade, the profit and loss of your average trade was like that, that's what I think would be ideal. And the less kurtosis here, the better, because you want your returns to be kind of like this, instead of like that. You're right. So if everyone looked at an inefficiency and brought the price down too much, then that's an inefficiency. Yeah, exactly. And you could trade it the other way. And if you didn't get in fast enough, then you're going to get in on the other way, and you're likely to lose money when it comes back up, right? How much position do you have so far? Well, I don't have any on right now. I lost 462 on the Combine account. And I did have one MES trade that made 17 on the micros, and I had one ZN trade that made 31. But overall, I'd say it was a pretty shitty day because of the Combine. It's a big bummer, the Combine, because it did eventually go and do what I wanted it to do, right? And remember all that time when I was saying, like, I really want to get it right here. If I had taken it, it would have worked out. But I couldn't risk it. Sucks. Very frustrating. A map of the location of folks who are or have been in the room. I thought we did that. Well, no, we did do that one time, right? Remember I gave... that was like maybe before you. There was one time where we posted a map and then everybody put a pin on the map. How would you define inefficiency? Oh, that's a really good question. So the first thing is like, is the behavior different from random, right? But then furthermore, I would say an inefficiency would mean a situation where the price deviates from what would be, if we had a way of calculating exactly what an asset should be worth, then when price deviates from that would be an inefficiency. And if we have a situation where we trade that inefficiency and we make money over 1,000 trades, be given certain risk parameters, then that means that we've found a tradable inefficiency, is how I look at it. When is getting us to bed? Do you have a title? PMI is so I was gonna say, like, new all-time highs after disappointing PMIs is what I'm gonna say. New all-time highs after disappointing PMIs. That's what it was, right? It was the... Oh, I have to come over here and look at them. PMI, yep. Savvy. So, like, an inefficiency stick, like, really great example of an inefficiency. Well, we've talked about this before, right? Is that implied volatility tends to be overstate what the realized volatility will be. So you can sell options and overall you're going to win. It's just that they have fat tail distributions, right? Or like similarly in the futures, the forwards tend to overestimate how much it will move. So you can watch the forwards, and when the forwards get really far out of line, you can trade the treasuries off of that, and that's a very reliable inefficiency apparently. What defines inefficiency is when whatever defines prices in the particular market is incorrect. Well, it's not just that, because like there has to be a reason why the market is going to come back to the correct price, right? So like if for instance, I know that Joe Biden is going to come out and ban all private businesses, then that would be a pretty big market inefficiency, right? Because I know it and not everybody else knows it. So I can trade it on the expectation that it's going to come to its real price real soon when the rest of the market finds out. That's how that works with news. Yeah, but the price is out of the line with the value. Well, if I really like Twinkies. Yeah, because the issue that you run into with that is you can go and you can make a model. For instance, you can model a treasury, you can model an equity, and you can determine from that model what the base price should be. And what you're going to find happens is like market makers, they do use models like that, okay? But the market doesn't follow that model exactly, right? And if the market is moving away from that model strongly, you kind of have to wonder like why, okay? But if you know why it's moving away, and you know that it's going to come back to that value, then you can just fade it, right? Because then I can go and I can say, oh, Peter Navarro said the China trade deal is dead, but that was not really. He wasn't saying that it was done or anything. He can't make that decision. So I fade that one, right? It's easiest to give you the example with news, because almost anything that we talk about when it comes to just pure price movements, which is what retail day traders want to look at, is how price moved. You don't actually get a real setup that I can explain actually works from that. Right. But I can tell you, like, for instance, if we're getting some volatility come into the market, that the probability is that you'll get even more. That can be an inefficiency that we know exists, right? So is the price inefficiency defined by how you value a market or how others value a market? I think, well, that's one way of finding an inefficiency. Okay. If you can reliably predict where price is going to go, that's an inefficiency. So it means that you know something that factors into the price that the rest of the market doesn't know. Otherwise, it would already be at that price, right? So like the limits of the limit order book, okay? The limit order book, liquidity disappears, and that can prevent price from going where it needs to go. So I might not know exactly what price it's going to go to. I could probably calculate it out, but I do know that if the Federal Reserve came out and emergency raised interest rates today, that the S&P 500 would sell, and that it would sell so far that the market wouldn't be able to move. And as long as I have a large enough stop, I can just go short and know that I will make money, because that's an inefficiency in the market, right? I can predict where prices will go if I'm the only trader valuing the market. Well, there you go. You can predict where prices are going to go if you're a really, really large trader and you know what the average volume is going to be. You can make a very accurate prediction. And then you can go and you can quote somebody else their price and then go and buy it lower than that price and make money on the difference of that. And that's how a bank makes money. That's how a bank that does trading activity makes money. One of the ways. That's how my traders made money. Okay, time to go. I'm still bummed out, man. I guess I'm actually not. I don't really seem so down, do I? As I did earlier. I've been trying to work on keeping the energy for you guys. I think I did a pretty good job today, yeah. But I am bummed out about the way that the robot went. So, oh well. Hey guys, I will see you Monday. Tomorrow's next week is another week. In the meantime, stay profitable, friends.